Hi yogis, and welcome to your week 10 practice. This week's focus is all about conquering fears and living in the moment in order to be more positive and to just help us get through the fears. The reality is with pregnancy there's a lot of unknowns, so really using your thoughts and working them towards more positive thoughts is a great goal to help with a little bit of the anxiety. So today you only need a couple tools. First thing you're going to need is a timer or your phone for your ending meditation, and also a blanket. You may not need it, but have it handy just in case you need to grab it quick. Today we're going to begin in child's pose. Place your big toes together, knees slightly apart, and then sit your hips back on your heels. The bigger your belly is, the more space you're going to need between your knees, so go ahead and adjust. Reach your arms forward, fingers spread wide, just like little starfish, and then drop your forehead down to the mat. While we're here, start to settle in, relax, and think of each breath as you inhale and you exhale. If you're having a little bit of trouble filling up your lungs here, think about breathing into your back. While you're here focusing on your breath, let go of anything that you've been holding on to today, any fears that you've been walking around with having to do with pregnancy or really just having to do with life in general, and let those go. Better yet, if you can replace them with a positive thought. Now think of your positive thought. And have this be a mantra that you come back to over and over again whenever those fears creep up into your head. Take a few moments, let the breath settle you, and get ready for your practice. One more nice big inhale and exhale. And then come forward onto all fours, positioning your knees under your hips, your wrists under your shoulders. Inhale, you're going to drop the belly down, lift the head, lift the hips. Exhale, curl your chin in, curl your pelvis in. Inhale, cat pose, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose, arch your spine, push into the mat. And one more time, inhale, cow pose. Sternum forward, heart forward. Exhale, cat pose. We're going to keep your hips high here, and then start to walk your hands forward and just stretch out your shoulders. Let your forehead come to the mat for a puppy dog stretch. Take a few nice easy breaths here, really sinking into this present moment. Walk your hands back into a tabletop position, and we're going to thread the needle, further stretching out our shoulders. First, take your right hand and slide it underneath your left arm, between your left arm and your left thigh. You're going to slide it down, and then start to roll onto your right shoulder and look underneath your armpit up at the ceiling, and reach your left arm up above your head. You feel a nice stretch in your right shoulder. Palm faces up toward the ceiling on your right hand and down toward the mat on your left hand. Come back to center. Readjust yourself, find center. And again, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This time take your left hand, thread it underneath your right arm. Left palm faces up toward the ceiling, And then the right arm reaches up above your head. Hips stay above the knees. Gently look underneath your right arm up toward the ceiling and feel a nice stretch in your left shoulder. Come back up to center. Walk your hands slightly in front of your shoulders. Tuck your toes, and then start to straighten out your legs, pushing your hips to the back wall, taking your first downward facing dog. Heels start to travel toward the mat. Hands stay firm on the mat. Again, you have that starfish spread to your fingers. And then take the shoulders away from the ears, settling the shoulder blades on the back. If you need to do a few little rocks here, you can rock side to side, paddle out your heels, whatever it takes for you to start to settle into this pose. If you have tight hamstrings, take a little bend to your knee and then shoot the hips to the back wall. That's the most important thing. Your hips almost want to feel like they're going to make an imprint. Your butt's going to imprint where the ceiling and the wall meet behind you. Wherever you are, start to settle. Find a good downward facing dog. Look forward at your hands and then walk your feet up to meet your hands. Feet are going to be about hip distance apart. Again, making space for baby. Even if you don't have a belly yet, it's good getting the practice. Inhale, you're going to look forward. Heart comes forward, back nice and flat. Exhale, release. And then hinging from the hip, you're going to swing your arms out to the side, keeping your back flat, coming all the way up to stand. Inhale, palms touch. Exhale, palms down to heart center. Doing half series a few times just to warm up the body. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Hinging from the hips, slight bend to the knee, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, look forward. Moving with the breath. Exhale, release. Again, you can put a slight bend in your knees if you have tight hamstrings. And back up the way you came. Inhale. Reverse. Come all the way up to stand. Stretch tall. Hands together and down to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Grow tall. Create space in your abdomen. Forward fold. Flat back. All the way forward. Inhale. Sternum forward. Exhale, release. And reverse the way you came. Grow tall, grow long. Inhale all the way up. Palms touch. And exhale down to heart center. One more time, moving with the breath. Inhale, up. Exhale, forward fold. Keeping the torso long. Inhale, look forward. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, release, forehead down to the floor. Last time, coming back up the way we came down. Inhale all the way up, stretch and reach for the ceiling. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Staying here with your feet hip distance apart, we're going to sit into chair pose. So find stability in your feet. Ground down through the four corners of your foot, the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and the two back points of your heel. Lift your toes and activate your arches. Keeping these arches activated, you can play with it a few times to start to find what that actually means for you. But once you have your arches activated and your feet are nice and solid on the floor, lower your toes slightly, take your hands down to heart center, and then sit your hips back. We don't want our knees to go forward because that's going to put strain on our knees. But instead, sit the hips back, chest stays up, heart is going to stay above our hips the whole time, and sit into chair pose. Again, if you've got a little bit of a belly, maybe hip distance isn't enough. If you need to take it a little wider, take it a little wider. Just make sure your toes point forward and your knees follow your toes. Heart lifts, bottom back, back nice and flat. Breathing here in chair pose. This is one of those poses that really teaches us to trust in our body, to trust in our strength, and to clue into the present moment because it's hard, so you've really got to breathe through it when your body starts to work. Nice job. Take your left both hands down to your left leg, and then step the right leg back. You're going to drop the right heel down to the mat, take your left elbow down to your right knee, and then rotate your top shoulder open. From here, if you need to walk back a little, I know I need to walk back, find your place, and then start to bend into a 90-degree angle for that front leg. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling, running extended angle pose. Another one of those poses that is some work, so it helps us come into the present moment and learn to trust in our bodies. If you have any shoulder problems, feel free to stay here, even here if reaching up is too much for you, or turn your palm, face in front of you, and then reach your arm overhead. Creating space through the abdomen from your rib cage to your hip, and turning open toward the ceiling. Release your hands to the mat, hop your back heel up, and then start to hop it forward, all the way into forward fold. And inhale, come all the way up to stand, one vertebrae at a time. Nice job. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So set yourself up, find your foot positioning. Hands come to heart center, sit back into chair pose. Hold here for a few breaths, believe in yourself, believe in your strength. Believe in the power of your breath to keep you in this pose. Drop your hands to the mat, keeping the knees bent. Step back with your left foot. Spin your left heel to the mat. And then take your right arm up to your leg. Reach your left arm up to the ceiling. Same thing on the other side. Extended side angle. If this is too much on your shoulder, your option is for your hip. The most important thing is to spread your chest open. Make sure your front knee, your right knee, is tracking over that front toe. And sit your hips down. Open up the inner hips. Spin your hand to face above your head, and then reach your arm over. This creates a nice diagonal line from your fingertips all the way down to your pinky side of your back foot. Breathe through. Release your hands down to the mat, flip your back heel up, and this time step back to downward facing dog. And get comfortable here. Take your right leg up to the ceiling. First, square your hips so that your hips are facing toward the mat, toes face down. And then stack your right hip on top of your left hip, keeping your arms as straight as you can. And spreading those fingers, pressing into the mat. And bend your right knee, open your hip up. Square your hips one more time. You can keep your knee bent. Pull your right knee in towards your face. It's a little hard. You've got that belly in the way. And then gently lower your right leg down to the mat. So here we're going to be working in pigeon pose. You'd like to have your knee at an angle here so that you can start to roll your hips even toward the floor. So if you're kind of popped up or rolled over onto your side, it's not going to work. So we just want to even out your hips and then hold here. If this is enough for you, great. If you'd like a little more stretch in your hip, start to walk your hands forward. The goal is going to be to drop your right hip down toward the mat. Your left hip down toward the mat. Again, this is going to help open up your hips for labor. As baby keeps growing, it's going to give you a little bit more space. Plant your right hand on the mat and then start to open up toward the left, reaching open, creating space in your abdomen. Both hands down to the mat, curl your back toes, and then reach back into downward facing dog. Hold here for a few moments, pedal out your heels, do whatever you need to do. Notice how different your right and your left leg feel. This time take your left leg up to the ceiling, three-legged dog, starting with the hips square, toes facing the mat, and then stack your left hip over your right. Your right heel is going to drop toward the mat, and bend your left knee. Open up your hip, feel the opening all the way up through your torso. Arms stay nice and straight. Press into the mat with your hands, especially that thumb, pointer, and middle finger, and keep opening your hips. Square your hips back off. Pull the left knee into the chest, rise high on the right toe, and then gently lower the left leg down to the mat. Again, we're looking for a 90-degree angle in your left leg and a straight back leg. Your right toes are laying flat on the mat behind you, leg nice and straight. You can stay here or crawl forward. Breathing as you open up your hips. This is an intense stretch, so don't feel bad if you're somewhere in between or working down towards the floor. Place your left hand on the mat. Right arm is going to spin up toward the ceiling. You can come over onto that right hip slightly. So your left hip. Both hands to the mat. Curl your back toes and come back up to downward facing dog. Gently lower your knees to the mat. Sit back on your heels. And we're going to take our feet together into Baddha Konasana. It's like a butterfly pose. Feet come together, knees come out to the side. Sit up nice and tall and drop your knees to the mat as you start to open your feet like they're a little book. Keeping the spine straight, the back straight. Start to forward fold over your legs, using your elbows to help push down your thighs. Drop your tailbone toward the mat and grow your spine long as you extend forward. This is one of those poses that you can do all the way through labor. So don't be surprised if this is something that your body naturally wants to do when you begin the labor process. Embrace it. You've practiced it all along, so you're well prepared for it. Sit up tall. To extend your right leg forward, take your left leg up and take your left elbow inside your left leg and rotate over your right leg, keeping that right foot active, shoulders away from your ears, really spread out. Make space through your collarbones. Look over your back shoulder. And then release, come forward. Extend both legs out in front of you. Again, make some space for baby. So you need to go hip distance, maybe a little bit wider than hip distance apart with your feet. If it's too much for you, your hamstrings are too tight, Feel free to grab a blanket and put the blanket under your bottom. This is going to help elevate you so you can reach your feet a little better. Inhale, reach up, straight spine, and forward fold. Again, baby just goes right between those legs as you reach the sternum forward, spread through the collarbones. Again, the importance here of dropping the tailbone down and lifting through the heart while forward folding at the hip. It's just like how we forward fold when we warm up and we go from standing all the way to Uttanasana, all the way to a forward fold. Sit up tall. This time we're going to take our other foot in, our left foot in. Left hand to the inside and rotate open. Shoulders away from the ears, spreading through the collarbones. Looking over your back shoulder, flexing, keeping that foot active that's nice and straight. And this is your go-to pose anytime you're in a yoga class and they do a closed twist. Just twist the opposite way, open up. No shame in facing your neighbor. And release the twist. Shake out your legs. Grab for your timer. Go ahead and set your timer for however long you have. If it's 3 minutes, great. If it's 5 minutes, wonderful. What we're going to focus on today, not only our breath, but also erasing any negative thoughts that might start to come up. So even though that may not happen right now while we're meditating, there are still going to be thoughts that come up. So if you can just take your mind back to your breath instead, that's great. Remember, we have those positive mantras that we were talking about at the beginning of our practice. Take those with you all week long and try to really think positively. If you think positively, your stress levels, your fear levels, everything's going to reduce greatly. So once you have your timer set, move your blanket out of the way and just come to a lying position on the mat. This is Shavasana in yoga. Flatten out. I like to start with my hips first. So lower back, hips, find those flush with the mat. Then my shoulders. I spread out through my collarbones, meet my shoulders with the mat. Drop my hands to the side, nice and wide. You don't want them touching anything. Palms open up toward the ceiling, thumbs heavy so that they start to spread out your arms even more, opening your chest. From there, I like to open up my legs. Again, your legs are going to be apart, and just let your feet naturally fall out to the side. With each exhale, you start to relax and release. And starting at your feet, working your way up your legs, scan your body for any tension that you're still holding on to. And as you exhale, feel all this tension roll off your legs, cascade all the way down, and leave your body rolling off from your toes. Come to your hips, your pelvis, your lower back. And the same thing, find any tension, and as you exhale, release it, and let it melt into the floor. Into your chest, your shoulders, your arms, all the way down to your fingertips. Find anything you're holding on to. And release it, relax as you exhale. Send that tension down, rolling off your body, releasing from your fingertips. And then your face, your neck, anything in your upper back that you're still holding on to. Find any tension that's there. Relax and release and let it roll off the back of your head. So just holding an easy breath here. Focusing on relaxation, using the breath as a tool to help clear the mind. Maintain your meditation for as long as you can. This is where I sign off today, yogis. Enjoy, and I will see you next week. Have a great non-stressed week. Namaste, yogis.